All right, so today we've got one new command called the Thicken. So before, when we did our revolve, we always made sure we had a closed shape, and that's what allowed us to create a solid. Otherwise, we would just create kind of a surface, which a surface is infinitely thin, meaning it has absolutely no mass. So today we're going to learn another technique of how to kind of turn a surface into an actual object that has mass. It will displace water when submerged. So I'm going to start off, I'll draw in my text layer here so you can see it on the screen. So today's assignment is to just design a bunch of glasses. And so it's kind of a fun, get kind of artistic here. So I'm going to use my spline tool. So I've created my spline, and then I will select it and run my revolve command. And I'm just going to hit my shift key and draw an axis here. And my shift key is going to make sure that it is perfectly vertical. And then obviously our glass, see here, it's now making our glass, and it's a surface, and obviously I want to go a full 360, so I'll just hit enter here, which is the default. So I have a nice glass here with a bit of a large base, but I'll go with it. So again, we can see on my edge here, I've got a really, really thin glass, and again, this is infinitely thin, so we want to thicken it a little bit. So we run the Thicken command. And it's going to ask me to specify the thickness. So I'm going to go pretty thin here. Try just 1/10 of an inch here. There we go. So you can see now we actually have a edge here, and I did a 1/10 of an inch, which was a little thick. I'd probably go half that. So that's pretty much it. The only other thing you can kind of do is say we wanted to curve this edge here. So back in 2D, how did we add round edges to things? Fillet, exactly. So just like in 2D space here, I can run my fillet. I'm going to punch in a radius here. So if I went, I'll go 0.1 inches as well. That'll give me a nice round edge. And have me select my edge. There we go. So you can see now it's actually rounded my edge on here. I probably could go for a much smaller radius, but you get the idea. And maybe I want to do the same thing here on the bottom. Just fillet that as well. So now I have a nice rounded edge on the top and bottom of my glass. Next we want to add our materials. And let's see, again, I'm going to go with a glass here. So, and then I like to have these a little larger. So I'll go with a slight blue glass here. So select my object, double click, this. All right, next thing we're going to do is prep for our rendering. So I'm going to go into perspective mode. Zoom out a little bit. And then I'm going to turn on my sun status. Make sure that's set to 1. Sky status should be set to 2. Make our largest difference here. And then other thing I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few copies of these here. So I'm just going to go copy and just kind of make a bunch here. Kind of a bowling pin layout. So again, running the orbit command is kind of a nice, easy way to position my shot just the way I want it. I'm going to go kind of close here. All right, and then I'll go down here to the bottom of my properties inspector and want to remember render our shadow detail, set this to 128. And then softness to 10. This gives us just a little prettier shadows in our higher render. And I'm going to do a first render here in low, just to see if I like my camera view. Let's try this again here. Render. I'm just going to zoom out just a tad here. Try that again. Perfect. And now I'll do a high render, and I'm going to bump up this resolution too, even though this will take the whole period. All right, and let's let that render. So any questions on how to make your glass using the Thicken command? You can. I did a 1/10 of a centimeter. Sorry, 1/10 of an inch. Sorry, 1/10 of an inch. Yep. And that was a little thick. You could probably do like 0.05.